Big Paw from Pantera. Skin Basher. Thrash. Hey, I'm Darrel, lead guitars. Terry Lee, lead vocals. Mom.
This is Rex rocking from Pantera. If you like it hot and heavy, we got it. Come on, guys.
Welcome to the very first episode of Discography Revisited. That's right, a new little concept we're starting here on the channel. I just thought of this a couple days ago, actually. As we all know, we just celebrated the 16th anniversary of Dimebag Darrel passing away. And at first I was just going to do a standard video to pay tribute, but you know what, I felt like doing something more. So I figured, you know what, we're going to go through all the albums. And I'm splitting this off into two parts because to me, there are two different eras to Pantera. You got the 80s era of Pantera, which is way different. More, a lot of people would say glam metal, hair metal, whatever. But I hear a lot of, US power metal, somewhat leanings a little bit later on towards thrash metal, which we'll talk about. And, you know what, we're going to do part two then, going into the 90s. And we all know what 90s Pantera sounds like. So without further ado, let's get this very first episode started. Going all the way back to the beginning in 1983 with Metal Magic. Pantera formed way back in 1981, with Diamond Darrel at the time. And with 15 years old at the time, you had Vinnie Paul on drums, you had Rex Rocker on bass, and Terry Lee on vocals. And that was the original Pantera lineup. So 1983 they go in and record their debut album. I'm talking about this motherfucker, Metal Magic, yes. Very corny album cover. I definitely agree with everybody when it comes to the album cover. The album cover is very corny. The production's very, very raw. It's got that early Sapro Records, Metal Blade Records type of vibe to it when it comes to the production. A lot of people would call it budget metal because the production's so raw and so thin. But you know what, the production on here doesn't really bother me. For a debut album, it's pretty fun to listen to. I mean, yeah, you can definitely tell Pantera was very young, very amateurish, when it comes to their approach on this debut album. I mean, like a track like Ride My Rocket, really sounds like a Kiss track, to be honest. It kind of reminds me of Detroit Rock City to an extent. You got other tracks like the title track, Metal Magic, which, is a blistering speed metal track, probably the best track on the album. You got Tell Me If You Want It, which to me is a pretty catchy tune, kind of in the style of like Kiss or Van Halen, And you got to remember, Diamond Darrel, and the band was very influenced by Kiss, Van Halen, early Def Leppard. You definitely get like an On Through the Night Def Leppard vibe on this debut album, Nothing On But the Radio, pretty catchy tune, I mean, for debut, I guess it's pretty decent, you got Rock Out to end it. I mean, I definitely wouldn't rank it number one. However, a lot of people trash this album. I think it's a fun listen. I'd still listen to it, from time to time. And you can definitely tell, even for a young band, that they pretty much have their tone figured out. And Diamond Darrel was only 17 years old on this record. And to me, he's playing some phenomenal guitar leads on here. Anyways, let's move on to the next record. Now, if I were to give this a score, I would definitely give this probably a 7.5 out of 10. You know, I enjoy it. Production's very raw. You know, it's going to be a turnoff for a lot of people. Hey man, let's move on to the 1984 follow-up, Projects in the Jungle. So yes, the following year, we get the sophomore release, released on July 27th, 1984. The same day Ride the Lightning came out by Metallica. How ironic is that? Yes. So we get the sophomore release, Projects in the Jungle. Released on Metal Magic Records, an independent record. I forgot to mention too, produced by their father, Terry Abbott, who was notably a country producer, But on this record, the production seems better. This really has a Def Leppard, High and Dry, to an extent a Pyromania type of vibe to it when it comes to the production. The drums definitely sound kind of, they sound electronic. Let's put it that way. I mean, yeah, the production on here is much more clean compared to, the Raw debut. It's kind of like, they're going from their On Through the Night to their High and Dry. That's the vibe I get from Projects in the Jungle. I actually like that album cover for some reason, I mean, my God, you got some rockin' tunes on here, man. All Over Tonight. Pretty good way to begin the album. You can kind of hear a little bit of a predecessor of what you would hear in the future Pantera sound with the groove, So they were getting the groove down packed, too, even back then. You got ripping speed metal tracks like Killers. Fucking awesome shit, man. Just straight up speed metal. A lot of people misinterpret Pantera for being a glam metal band. Yeah, they had a glam metal look, but I think overall the sound back then was much tougher compared to a lot of the glam metal that was coming out back around this time. This is a bit heavier. To me, it's along the lines of the new wave of British heavy metal and the American power metal scene to an extent. Yeah, you get hints of glam, but this is not full-on glam metal like people say. Open your fucking ears, people, and listen. This is fucking decent shit, man. Give it a chance. And, you got other tracks on here like Heavy Metal Rules, because heavy metal does fucking rule, You got other awesome tracks on here like, well, let's see here. Only a Heartbeat Away, probably one of the more weaker tracks on here. However, I think it's pretty damn decent, You got In Over My Head. In Over My Head really sounds like Def Leppard. It really does. I mean, it could honestly be mistaken for an unreleased Def Leppard track from the High and Dry sessions, It does have that vibe, which is kind of weird, and I think Terrence Lee really sounds a lot like Joe Elliott on this freaking album, And you got Blue Light Turns Red. Basically, Diamond Darrel's Eruption. Just explosive, freaking guitar work, What can I say? You could definitely tell at 18 years old that Dimebag was crafting his guitar technique. Just amazing stuff. Overall, I would actually give this one a freaking 9 out of 10. I think this is a good album. Let's move on to 1985's I Am the Night. 1985, we go to the third studio album, I Am the Night. Now, right away, despite the opening track, Hot and Heavy, which is pretty much a typical 80s metal track, you know, of the time. Lyrics are very fucking corny, you know. Come on, take a lick of my ice cream cone, baby. That's like literally one of the lines of that track. Come on, what the fuck does that mean, for crying out loud? But no, this album afterwards gets more aggressive. Yes, like the title track, I Am the Night. Just blistering speed metal, man. I'm telling you, it's an aggressive track. You know, you get other tracks like Daughters of the Queen, which is pretty underrated. Kind of has a rat vibe to it, you know. By the way, I don't even think I showed that. I Am the Night, yes. So like I'm saying, you get Daughters of the Queen. You know, kind of reminds me of Rat. Yeah, it definitely has a Rat vibe to it. Like on here, you can kind of tell Pantera's still kind of figuring out their sound. Because you do get glimpses of what's to come a little bit. You get some thrashy riffs in here. Like on Onward We Rock. You get some thrash metal riffage in that track. You know. But yeah. Then you get other tracks. Another raging speed metal track, Valhalla. Which is just absolutely ripping. Early speed metal, you know. Phenomenal stuff, you know. Now, just looking here. Like, Forever Tonight's probably the weakest track on here. It's just a pretty generic ballad, you know. It's not that really that great of a track. But, you know, you got Right on the Edge, which is a pretty ripping heavy metal tune that kind of reminds me of a Sept, you know. Yeah, man. And you get the awesome Dime Goes to the Movies. DGTTM. Yes. Awesome. Early instrumental, kind of similar to, you know, Blue Light Turns Red, excuse me, they're from Projects in the Jungle, you know, being a guitar instrumental, just really good stuff. You know, it definitely showcases the Dimebag Darrel, Diamond Darrel, is becoming, literally, in that time period, an underground metal guitar god. It's somebody that's going to be a guitar god of the future, you know, going forward. Overall, you know, I would give this album, even though I think Projects in the Jungle is a bit better, I would still give this like an 8.5 out of 10. You know, you get Down and Out on here, another speed metal track, which appears also on the next album we're going to talk about, in the last album in this series. I'm talking about 1988 power metal. To the fourth studio album now by Pantera. Well, we get a personnel change on this one. You know, Terrence Lee, Terry Glaze, whatever you want to call him, left the band. You know, I'm not sure exactly why he left. I'm going to assume it's probably musical differences. Because you could tell on I Am the Night, the Pantera wanted to go in a heavier direction. You could already tell that. Because the album is a bit confused. Anyways, so moving on, we go into power metal. We get Louisiana native Philip Anselmo into the band. And Phil brings a different edge to Pantera. Phil's more influenced by the underground metal scene of the time. You know, he's into thrash metal, death metal, black metal, you know, the early stages of death metal and black metal, that is. You know, and hardcore punk. So that's what Phil kind of brings to the table. Not notably on this album, you know. like, very little. But yeah, let's get on with talking about power metal. Came out in 1988. Right away, you're gonna notice, well, not on the first track. The first track, Rock the World, starts out very much in the vein of the first 3 albums. You know, it kind of has that vibe to it. Yeah, it's more of a, I guess, kind of a mid-paced Dawkins type of track, you know. It's an okay beginner, but to me, the next track steals the fucking show right away. I'm talking about power metal, the title track. Straight up speed metal. Fast, ferocious, Dimebag shredding away. Vinnie Paul's going nuts behind the drum set. Phil Anselmo singing like Rob Halford. It's freaking awesome, man. You know, you got tracks like We'll Meet Again and Proud to Be Loud that have more of that, I guess, kind of a rat type of sound to them, I guess, a little bit. You know, in that style. Now, notably, I'm trying to think here. Okay. Mark Ferrari of Kill wrote Proud to Be Loud. And I guess he gave it to Pantera to use. At least that's my understanding. And he actually plays the guitar on this track, on this album. A lot of people don't know that. And he plays guitar on We'll Meet Again. And Mark Ferrari, yes, you can find a video of him on YouTube playing Proud to Be Loud from 1988 with Pantera. It's kind of weird at first because you're not used to Pantera with 2 guitar players. You know, because it was always Dime solo. But yeah, you can find it on YouTube. Besides that, yeah, those are the 2 more hair metal-ish type of tracks. But then you got like scorching tracks like Over and Out, Death Trap, which definitely predicts what Pantera's going to be in the future. Even at the end of Over and Out, Phil's yelling hardcore to basically indicate what's coming. But yeah, great album. You know, Burn is a scorching speed metal track. And the last track, PST 1988, Pussy Tight, Tonight. You get where that's going. And here on Metal Bent's Chronicles, we're not politically correct, so yeah. Anyways, we know what that's about. Again, a more mid-paced track. Dimebag does the lead vocals on that track. Sounds a lot like a young James Hetfield. Pretty interesting. That's pretty much power metal in a nutshell. I give power metal easily a 9 out of 10. You know, I think the only thing that weighs it down is the re-recording of Down Below from I Am the Night. Now, the version of Down Below on here is better, but I don't think it needed to be recorded or re-recorded. You could have put another track in its place, you know what I mean. Anyways, that's power metal. That's the first 4 albums. And up next, well, I guess you'll have to stay tuned for part 2 to see what's coming up.